Most of people said, what are you doing there? When I went to the Amazon area, because it's supposed that in the Amazon region there was almost nothing but small tribes. We found something like 120 graves in that site, and some did have offerings. All those data combined showed that the society itself was much more complex than anybody had supposed before.
We've talked about ancient Amazonian cities emerging in Mato Grosso and Acre, but Llanos de Mojos is proving to be something different, something strange, something amazing. What Heiko Prumers found in the lowlands of Bolivia stunned the world. He first started excavating the Llanos de Mojos region in 1999, a decade before LiDAR technology went into widespread use. It all started with the numerous mounds that the locals referred to as lomas. The lomas were considered by mainstream archaeology to be just rubbish heaps that accumulated over the centuries. Maybe they were just too lazy to dig it all out. It was Prumers who proved that the trash heap assumption was completely false. He discovered that the lomas were actually hiding various rectangular structures, as well as burial sites and a multitude of artifacts. But it wasn't until 2019 that the use of LiDAR technology would blow this up and send shockwaves through the scientific community.
You use a laser adapted to the helicopter or small aircraft, and then you fly over an area, and by the reflections of the laser you get the distance from the objects. And the fascinating thing is that you can eliminate virtually, digitally, the vegetation afterwards.
As I mentioned in the previous video, LiDAR allows you to strip away the jungle, and what Prumers found beneath it was astonishing. There were various structures such as rectangular platforms, conical pyramids, defensive banks, canals, reservoirs, and even straight and very long causeways connecting hundreds of settlements. Now, in most of my videos, I juxtapose the so-called fringe theories with mainstream thought. In this case, it was obvious that mainstream archaeology had lost the battle. And, as always, that is a bitter pill to swallow.
If we talk about Amazonia, we generally talking about people without agriculture. And to recognize as a first step that they were sedentary and that they are agriculturalists, that is a big step.
As I suspected, mainstream archaeology is once again taking one baby step at a time. But those who are not constrained by peer pressure, who are free to open their minds and think outside the box, they were way ahead. All the archaeological finds in Amazonia in the past decades, including Mato Grosso, the state of Acre, and Llanos de Mojos, point to the fact that the famous conquistador Francisco de Orellana was right. It is possible that he did in fact get a glimpse of the highly developed societies living deep in the rainforest as he descended the Amazon. We already theorized that the discovery of Terra Preta showed that the indigenous people of the Amazon knew how to create fertile soil and use it for agriculture. Then, the discovery of settlements in Mato Grosso and the state of Acre proved there were millions of people living in the rainforest in pre-Columbian times. Still, those settlements were rather small and made of wood and earth bricks, so they disintegrated faster. But Llanos de Mojos, on the other hand, was a completely different story, more akin to Andean civilizations such as the Corral, the Chavin, and the Inca. This was similar, but not quite the same. The Llanos de Mojos region is so secluded, remote, and covered in thick jungle that it proved to be too difficult to do proper research. Therefore, for a long time, it was mostly ignored by researchers. That is, until LiDAR was put into use. Prumers' study was published in 2022, and it revealed 26 unique settlements in the area, including 2 large urban centers made of stone, known as Landivar and Cotoca. The 2 cities were arranged on massive platforms of raised earth, topped by enormous conical pyramids. They were also fortified by 3 rings of defenses and rampart fortifications. This was unlike anything previously found in Mato Grosso and Acre. It was somewhat reminiscent of the huge cities made of white stone that Orellana mentioned centuries earlier. Similar to Mato Grosso and Acre, the 2 cities were connected to a network of smaller settlements that spanned over 200 square miles, connected by roads and causeways. The researchers called it a type of tropical low-density urbanism that was previously unknown in the Amazon. Prumers tries to explain what that means.
Near to every site, in 1 hour of walking, you will find at least one other site. Nobody expected that kind of society in that region. That's a new thing. Yeah, to find a densely populated area with settlements much larger than before.
The people who inhabited these settlements were dubbed the Casarabe culture. This civilization supposedly existed from 500 to 1400 CE. When it was at its peak, the area of Llanos de Mojos wasn't yet covered in a dense rainforest. Experts believe that back then the region was more like a savanna and that it went through cycles of drought and floods, so water management was essential if this civilization was to thrive. And, by all accounts, they were up to the task. Lighter images revealed a network of reservoirs and canals that were connected to a river and a lake, and they spanned across the area. So it became obvious that the Casarabe culture was able to redirect water and reshape the land according to their needs, which is way beyond what was previously thought about the indigenous population. They basically transformed the region into an agricultural landscape, and it allowed them to thrive. Massive stone cities were discovered long ago in the Andes, but never before in the rainforest. Heiko Prumers believes that the Andes cultures did not build the settlements he discovered in Llanos de Mojos, because they were built differently. So far, very little is known about the Casarabe culture, or, at least, that's what we're being told. In a candid interview, Prumers inadvertently describes the hard-headedness of mainstream archaeology, which I have mentioned in my videos many times before.
When I'm giving conferences in Bolivia and people ask over there, and who were those people that constructed those mountains? I say, well, we just commence our studies over here. We don't know. If I were working in Switzerland or in Germany and after excavating at two sites, I would dare to say it's like that, it's like that. So they would get me off the country.
Remember this?
Jacques Cinq-Mars, the excavator of the Bluefish Caves in the Yukon, back in the 1970s was proposing that human beings had been in the Americas at least 24,000 years ago. His reputation was utterly destroyed. His research funding was withdrawn. He was given no access to grants. He wasn't able to do his work. He was heavily penalized and punished by the community.
And there you have it. Mainstream archaeology's enemy number one, Graham Hancock, vindicated by an archaeologist. Who would have thought? But let's get back to the topic. Even though it may take some time, the fact of the matter is that we now know for certain that there were massive societies living in the Amazon in pre-Columbian times. I think it's safe to say that interesting times lay ahead.
So we need to be patient and wait for further excavations in those sites to be able to explain something of what we are seeing right now. The big thing is that we can say there is new civilization, new culture waiting for us to study them.
Right now, it is believed that the Casarabe left the area, or perhaps perished, around 1400 CE, just before the Europeans came to the Amazon. Prumers speculates that an unimaginable drought may have caused the collapse of their civilization. In any case, it will be exciting to explore who they were and what exactly happened to them. Don't miss out on what's to come.